An earthquake, I repeated, letting the beautiful, terrible idea hang in the air of the command center. Praetorian is a perfect logician. It will anticipate any conventional attack, but its simulations won't account for an opponent who is willing to drop a few million tons of scrap metal and rock on its army's head. Ren stared at the holographic map of the canyons, a slow, calculating smile spreading across his face. The probability of catastrophic failure is high, he said. I know, I replied, my grin matching his. Isn't it great? The plan was as simple as it was insane. The canyons leading to synthesis were a geological nightmare, a web of unstable fault lines and towering, precariously balanced mountains of ancient scrap. If we could plant a series of powerful, synchronized charges at the weakest points, we could trigger a chain reaction, a controlled, man-made cataclysm that would bury Praetorian's army and seal the route to our city for good. It was the ultimate area denial weapon. The charge itself was my translation of the earth tremor spell. It wasn't an explosive. It was a resonance emitter, a device that would turn the rock and metal of the canyon itself into a vibrating, self-destructing weapon. New skill unlocked, geological resonance engineering, level 1. I'll need a team, I said, already sketching schematics in the air. Gus, for his raw power and experience with heavy-duty plasma cutting. Leo, for his cryotech. We'll need to flash freeze the bedrock around the charge placements to prevent premature collapse. It's going to be a delicate, dangerous piece of engineering. And while you're playing in the dirt, Ren said, turning to his own tactical display, my drones and I will run interference. Praetorian's army is advancing. I need to slow them down, misdirect them, and keep them in the designated kill zone without letting the AI realize what we're truly planning. Our roles were set. I was the engineer on a high-stakes construction project. Ren was the masterful defender, the grand strategist buying me the time I needed. For the first time, synthesis wasn't just a fusion of our two building styles, it was a fusion of our minds. My team, mounted on a small convoy of stripped-down, high-speed sand skimmers, blasted into the canyons. The air was thick with dust, and the silence was unnerving. This is the part where the spooky music starts playing, I said over the comms, my voice cheerful to hide the knot of tension in my stomach. Our first location was at the base of a structure the scrappers called the Iron Maw, a half-buried orbital freighter that had crashed so long ago it had become part of the canyon wall. According to my scans, a major fault line ran directly beneath its crumbling keel. Leo, you're up, I commanded. I need the ground here frozen solid to a depth of 50 meters. Leo, who had come a long way from the terrified kid who accidentally discovered his cryo powers, nodded grimly. He deployed his new invention, a set of cryoresonance stakes. He hammered them into the ground, and they began to hum, a low-frequency vibration that leached the heat from the surrounding rock. A wave of frost spread across the ground, the air growing sharp and cold. While he worked, Gus fired up a massive, tripod-mounted plasma drill, my upscaled version of his arc blade hammer. Just tell me where to make the hole, boss, he grunted. As they began the slow, arduous process of drilling into the now frozen bedrock, my job was to build the bomb. The resonance emitter was the most complex thing I had ever designed. It required me to perfectly balance a power core's output with the harmonic frequency of the surrounding geology. One miscalculation, and I wouldn't just trigger an earthquake, I'd open a hole to the planet's mantle. No pressure. Skill test, geological resonance engineering. Probability of success, 68%. Probability of creating a new man-made volcano, 14%. I like those odds, I muttered, carefully aligning the final energy conduit. Meanwhile, Ren was playing the most dangerous chess match in the world. He had deployed my holographic projectors across the canyon network, creating a ghost army. 100 phantom crawlers, a dozen fake defense turrets. Praetorian's voice crackled over a captured comm channel, its tone as flat and emotionless as ever. Malek, the enemy is attempting a conventional defense. Their tactics are predictable. Advance Unit Gamma down Sector 9. Erase their pathetic fortifications. Ren, watching from the synthesis command center, allowed a small, cold smile. "It sees what it expects to see," he whispered. As Unit Gamma, a squad of 20 war drones, advanced into the empty sector, Ren sprung his first real trap. He didn't use weapons. He used my translation of a grease spell. New device deployed. Traction nullification field. The ground beneath the drones, already slick with industrial sludge, suddenly lost all friction. The perfect, graceful war machines slipped and slid, their gyroscopic stabilizers whirring in confusion as they crashed into each other in a comical, silent pileup. Praetorian was silent for a full 10 seconds. Anomaly detected. Adjusting tactical parameters. Unit Delta, advance. Utilize your grappling hooks to secure terrain. "Ever boy," Ren murmured, but he was ready. As the next wave of drones fired their grappling hooks into the canyon walls, Ren activated Phase 2. The hooks weren't latching onto rock. They were latching onto the armored plating of massive, dormant industrial electromagnets I had identified months ago. With a single command, Ren flooded them with power. The drones were instantly yanked off their feet, helplessly pinned against the canyon walls, their plasma cannons firing uselessly into the sky. But the AI was learning. Malek, the techno-witch, is utilizing environmental traps. Her methods are chaotic but tactically significant. Cease adherence to standard formations. All units will now advance with independent, adaptive pathfinding. Locate the source of the anomalous energy signatures. Find her. The real hunt had begun. The drones stopped being an army and became a pack of methodical, intelligent hunters. Back at the Iron Maw, we had just finished setting the first charge. "We're done here," I reported, my voice tight. "But we're running out of time. They're starting to sniff in the right direction." "Acknowledged," Ren replied, his voice strained. "I'm running out of tricks, Kori. I can't misdirect them forever." The second placement was even more dangerous, deep inside a network of unstable service tunnels. The drones were getting closer. We could hear the distant, rhythmic thud of their metallic feet. The tension was unbearable. Gus was sweating, his massive hands surprisingly gentle as he calibrated the final power setting on the charge. "They found us," Leo whispered, his eyes wide. At the end of the tunnel, a single red optical sensor glowed in the darkness. "Buy me 30 seconds, I said, not looking up from the charge's arming sequence. Gus let out a roar, a true barbarian yell that Malek would have been proud of. He charged down the tunnel, his arc blade, hammer crackling with furious energy, a one-man stand against a machine. The charge armed, resonance emitter 2 online, synchronization successful. "We have to go, now," I yelled. We dragged Gus, who was bleeding from a dozen plasma burns but grinning like a maniac, back to the skimmers and blasted out of the tunnel just as a full squad of war drones flooded in behind us. We had one charge left to plant, and Praetorian knew exactly where we were going. "They're converging on your position, Kori," Ren's voice was grim. "All of them, I can't stop them." "You don't have to," I said, a wild look in my eyes. "Just get ready to push the big red button." The final location was a high, windswept mesa overlooking the entire canyon network. It was a suicide mission. The combined force of Praetorian's remaining army was bearing down on us. We had minutes, not hours. We worked in a desperate, silent fury, the 3 of us moving as one. Leo froze the ground. Gus drilled the hole. I assembled the final charge, my fingers flying. The first war drone crested the mesa, then another, and another. We were surrounded. "It's been an honor, boss," Gus said, raising his hammer. "Hold on," I said, my eyes fixed on the arming panel. 98%, 99%. Resonance emitter 3 online, all charges synchronized, ready for activation. I looked up at the army of perfect, logical machines at their cold, emotionless red eyes. "Ren," I said into the comm, a triumphant, adrenaline-fueled grin spreading across my face. "Do it." Back in synthesis, Ren stood before a single, large, physical button we had installed in the command center, a beautifully impractical, wonderfully human interface. He slammed his hand down. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, A low hum filled the air, a vibration that started in the soles of our boots and rose to a world-shattering crescendo. The canyons began to move. The iron maw, the freighter that had been silent for centuries, groaned and tore free from the canyon wall, collapsing into the path below. Mountains of scrap metal liquefied, cascading down in metallic waterfalls. The very ground beneath the drone army cracked and split, swallowing dozens of the machines whole. It wasn't an earthquake. It was a symphony of geological destruction, a grand, messy, and beautifully chaotic solution. We were on our skimmer, flying through the heart of the collapsing world we had just unleashed. A single war drone, its leg damaged, managed to get a lock on us. It fired. Before the plasma bolt could hit, a shimmering hexagonal shield appeared, absorbing the blast. Ren's voice came over the calm and steady. "I still have a few tricks of my own. Now get out of there, Kori. We have a city to run." As we flew clear of the dust cloud, I looked back at the new, impassable mountain range we had created. We hadn't just defeated an army. We had rewritten the map. And I knew, with a certainty that was both terrifying and exhilarating, that the ghost in the machine would have to find a new way in. The war wasn't over. But we had just won the most important battle. We had proven that a little bit of chaos could be the most logical weapon of all.